This beetle has an average weight of about 0.08 of an ounce. That ball bearing, 2.32 ounces. That's almost 28 times its own weight. It's hard to tell if the beetle even knows it's there. The largest of these pugnacious bugs can lift up to 850 times its own weight. That's a strong beetle. You are about to embark on a journey into a peculiar world. One where creatures shimmer like dappled sun and guard glistening orbs underwater. It's a world of deception, and your eyes may trick you. This is the watery home of the delicate but determined sunburst diving beetle. They're petite, an inch long at most. Their legs move in sync like the oars of a rowboat, making them refined swimmers. But don't be lured by their beauty. Those pretty yellow specks are nature's way of warning predators to stay away. An awful tasting surprise awaits if they don't. These creatures lurk below the surface of warm ponds and streams in the American Southwest. The shimmering beads they guard may look like fragile crystal, but they're many times more valuable to them. Air bubbles. Like scuba divers, the beetles need oxygen to survive underwater, so they carry it down with them. While at the surface, they trap air bubbles between their abdomen and wings. Then, as they dive down, they breathe the air in through little holes on the sides of their body that are hidden beneath their wings. As they dive deeper, the water compresses the oxygen, creating a single, glistening bubble that emerges out of their bottoms. As they hang out underwater, they sip from the shimmering air sac. The bubble can even draw oxygen from water around it to top up what the beetles consume. The beetles can stay submerged for several minutes at a time. Voila! Portable, renewable oxygen tanks. If you think that's impressive, you should see what they see. The adults have 6 eyes. Just like 2 heads are better than 1, 6 eyes are better than 2 when hunting insects that make the mistake of dropping by. These sunburst diving beetles aren't just built to kill. They're built to make babies. These little critters caught the attention of Charles Darwin. He wondered how mating was possible for diving beetles. Living underwater makes it difficult to hold on, but this beetle is well equipped. The male has 2 large suction cups on his forelegs, so mates can't wriggle away. All the better to grip you with, my dear. This is one of their babies. The larvae are known as water tigers. With good reason. They have ferocious appetites. These babes can breakfast on tadpoles, small fish, and other insects, even prey larger than themselves. Having 6 eyes isn't enough for these killer cutiepies. They have 12. And with those eyes, they have vision unlike any other in the animal kingdom. They're bifocal, which lets the little killers see both near and far at the same time. Using their front legs to grab and pincers to bite, they can latch on to their target. These little larvae then pump digestive fluids into their prey and suck out their remains. Charming. Once fully grown, sunburst beetles keep up their carnivorous ways. Bigger and badder, they won't hesitate to take down prey larger than themselves, like crickets, fish, or even frogs. With such a strenuous routine of predation, seduction, and survival, these bugs need frequent breaks. So they hang out together on rocks beneath the surface. Looks innocent enough, but competition is fierce, even when they're relaxing. If one beetle sees a great resting spot that's taken, look out. Popping bubbles forces competitors to surface for more air. The underwater world is full of startling and sometimes unbelievable life forms. The sunburst diving beetle, with its portable tank and air-popping defenses, fits right in. With its gorgeous hues and googly eyes, this marine creature stands out in the gloomy depths of the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Named for the peacock-like coloring on its shell, it's one of the ocean's most enigmatic and dangerous creatures. The peacock mantis shrimp. It's actually not a mantis, nor a shrimp. Mantis shrimp are the last surviving members of an ancient family of crustaceans. And for a relatively small marine creature, anywhere from 1 to 7 inches, this bottom crawler has an enormous presence. It's one of the most aggressive hunters in the animal kingdom, able to strike a deadly blow in a fraction of a second. This creature is built to fight. Like the praying mantis, it has specialized forelimbs tucked under its body until it's ready to use them. Using a spring-like mechanism, this crustacean's limbs can accelerate up to 1,000 times faster than a fighter jet. That gives the peacock mantis shrimp the fastest right hook in the animal kingdom. The enormous force easily smashes the shells of big crabs and mollusks. Calcium-based minerals strengthen the mantis shrimp's forelimbs, making them resistant to breaking. These limbs can absorb extreme impacts, so this mantis shrimp can smash with abandon. If this incredible beating weren't enough, it strikes a second blow. The speed of a mantis shrimp's punch is so fast, it boils the water around it. The phenomenon is known as cavitation. When the boiling bubbles collapse, they cause a small shock wave that destroys the target. So even if the shrimp doesn't knock out its target the first time around, the imploding bubbles can still take it down. Buried in the sandy bays and mud lagoons between the islands of Indonesia, a tiny pair of eyes peeks out, watching and waiting. This is a coconut octopus. It's no bigger than an index finger. And yet, it has powers that some of us might find a bit unsettling. An octopus's power of sight is legendary, with monocular vision that allows it to use each eye independently. It has venom to help keep predators at bay. And let's not forget an octopus's breathtaking ability to change color, patterns, and shape. Beautiful to watch, and also a handy disguise. This multi-limbed crawler has another exceptional skill. It's what gives the coconut octopus its name. The coconut octopus uses empty coconut shells and clam shells to accomplish an incredible feat. it constructs a shelter. The coconut octopus is the only invertebrate known to collect and hang on to objects, like building materials, for future or potential use. Indeed, there's a method to this madness. The size of this octopus makes it an easy meal for sharks, dolphins, and seals. Its venom can't dissuade such big predators. So for this little guy, building an elaborate fort out of cast-offs can mean the difference between life and death. Researchers believe this ability to use the shells is an indication of the coconut octopus's high IQ. And the cunning octopus knows that 4 walls work better than 3. This is possibly even a type of tool use, a sure sign of an animal's cognitive powers. Intelligence like this is usually found in long-lived animals, but these octopus live only 12 months at most. Why they have such highly evolved intelligence is still a mystery. In the hot, dry landscape of the southwestern United States, there is a creature that is fooling everyone. It's a pretender, a fake, a phony. But its odd and tricky behavior is for a good reason. This beetle is perhaps the best poker player ever, pulling off the bluff of its life several times a day even. The ace up its proverbial sleeve? If threatened, the blue death-feigning beetle rolls over on its back and plays dead. The ruse has to be perfect, or this beetle might become dinner for a hungry spider. It seems risky, but it works. Predators like spiders, birds, or rodents prefer their dinner to be alive and juicy when they catch it. Probably because there's nothing worse than choking down a dry meal when there might be something fresh further on. How did this weird and gutsy defense strategy come to be? Most scientists have come to a simple conclusion. The blue death-feigning beetle seems to know what its predators don't like and perfectly reenacts the unwanted meal like a seasoned thespian. If a plump live beetle is the predator's entree of choice, there's plenty on the menu. There are almost 400,000 known species of beetle in the world. That's about 40% of all known insects on the planet. That's a big menu. The blue death-feigning beetle belongs to a family called the darkling beetles. It is actually black, but its blue coloring comes from a wax on its outward shell that works as a protective shield against dehydration. That little sheet of bumpy armor changes color as the beetle excretes that wax to protect itself from the hot sun. More wax means more water too, as throughout the day the beetle maintains moisture in that sponge-like shell. Then it slowly and evenly distributes the moisture to the rest of its body, so that it doesn't dry out in all that heat and become what it sometimes pretends to be. The blue death-feigning beetle is one clever creature. But don't believe everything you see. This little bug might be faking you out. Scooting along the ocean floor is a master of disguise. This is the Grunt Sculpin, a small fish with a big personality. It's part of the superfamily Cutiepies, which includes sculpins, sea ravens, and poachers. Not the most complimentary names, but this compact species has some outstanding qualities. Like this. This little fish gets its name not from how it looks, but how it sounds. That said, it does have some odd physical features too. The Grunt Sculpin has a massive head that makes up half of its body size. Even though it's a fish, it doesn't have scales. Instead, it has small plates, which are covered in tiny spines for armor. Its fins and tail are a bright, flashy orange and emerge from under the plates as though they're part of a completely different fish. The Grunt Sculpin is a bit of a motley mashup. This curious appearance helps it blend in with the scenery. It lives in tide pools, rocky areas, and high-current coastal waters in the cool North Pacific Ocean. These are habitats favored by giant barnacles. And so this odd hunchback fish has adapted to live in empty barnacle shells. When it's all tucked in with just its head sticking out, predators can't tell the difference. And if just its flashy orange tail sticks out, it looks like a barnacle feeding. If barnacle shells aren't available, the Grunt Sculpin will just as happily use bottles, cans, and other ocean floor debris to hide away. It prefers to stay out of sight, because racing away from predators is barely an option. The Grunt Sculpin's movements are awkward at best. It doesn't quite swim, but instead scuttles across the ocean floor on the tips of its finger-like fins, twitching, hopping, and strutting over rocks. Awkward and lurching maybe, but this fish can cop an attitude. The Grunt Sculpin is territorial and aggressive. One of the ways it communicates is the grunt. Researchers believe it's a territorial call. The female is the true bully of this species, especially at mating time. The female chases a male into a barnacle shell, trapping him in there while she lays her eggs. Then he has no choice but to fertilize them. With a devil-may-care attitude, she saunters off, leaving him to guard the nest. This sassy fish is a carnivore that feasts on tiny crustaceans, plankton, and larvae on the seafloor. Its long bill-like snout has thick lips and tiny teeth, perfect for getting into all the nooks and crannies in its habitat. And that's ideal for a tiny sea creature that will only ever grow to be about 3 inches long. There aren't any other fish quite like the Grunt Sculpin. As the only member of the fish family Rhamphocottidae, this strange-looking fish is truly one of a kind. To survive in the insect world, you don't have to be good at everything. But it helps if you are really good at one thing. Some are tricky, some organized, or masters of disguise. Some pack a poisonous sting or bite. Rhino beetles do none of these things. But they do one thing really, really well. They fight, and fight, and fight some more. For these prize pugilists, it's always fight night. These not-so-secret weapons are why rhino beetles have flourished around the world. In parts of Asia, beetle fighting is a popular pastime. All you need are 2 male beetles, a female for them to fight over, and a few humans who enjoy a good wager. But in the wild, this is not mindless pit fighting. There is a purpose and a prize. The beetle left standing gets the girl, and his championship genes are passed on to the next generation. It's about survival, and the strongest beetle wins. This beetle has an average weight of about 0.08 of an ounce. That ball bearing, 2.32 ounces. That's almost 28 times its own weight. It's hard to tell if the beetle even knows it's there. The largest of these pugnacious bugs can lift up to 850 times its own weight. That's a strong beetle. What does all this weightlifting mean in human terms? Well, imagine an average-sized male lifting 15 recreational vehicles over his head. That's 153,000 pounds. Even more brain-bending, a rhino beetle can lift and carry up to 30 times its own weight without any effect on its speed, breathing, or metabolism. To this day, nobody has been able to figure out how it can do it.